Campus Intifada is back, and back might be a little bit maybe not really the right word to use since it never really went away. You still had the so-called protest. I'm using quotation marks for people listening on podcast. Yeah, they never really went away, especially around people like Mahmoud Khalil. There were still protests, and those protests were, as of course, as always, violating the property rights of many people in New York City. But today it again sort of escalated. It again sort of went to the ways we used to know it by, and it's breaking the rules of the university, completely having no regard for law, no regard for any sort of rules. It's pretty much just trying to do whatever. And Colombia had to call in. Well, one thing that did happen is a much faster response. Colombia did call NYPD, think like few hours in, or pretty much as soon as something started happening. We'll go into the sort of the way the events went. We'll go into some of the reactions. We also have a reaction from the mayor of New York, which I think is pretty much as good as you can expect at this point. We also had Marco Rubio comment on it, which we'll definitely cover. And yeah, so this is the topic today. We might get joined by somebody in the next couple of minutes. We'll see. Um, so yeah, just to go into it again, I have a video. I'm wondering if yeah, let's just talk about it a little bit first. We have a super chat already from Jonathan. Thank you so much. Who says happy birthday, Daniel? Yes, I had birthday on the 5th of May, just a few days ago. Thank you so much for that. Yeah, so what happened? There was a protest at Colombia that started outside of basically the library. Um, but then around like 3 p.m. or something, they decided to break into library. They all had masks. They all had their keffiyehs. We'll watch that in a second. And yeah, at some point they were physically removed from the library. There were I've seen different numbers on it, around 80 arrests. I think there was like 78 arrests and maybe two were something different, but generally around 80 arrests, which is again great to see. This is exactly what should happen. And yeah, we can go into some of the fights, but let's watch one clip about what were they doing. I think in front of the library. Okay, so that is about a minute more of that. We don't have to watch the whole thing. Yeah, so what has happened, as you've seen, they were trying to break in. I believe a few or a couple, at least from what I've seen so far, people were injured. Specifically, I think it was either the security guard or someone from some of the professors. Basically, some people trying to control the situations were hurt. We also have a super chat from Bonnie. Thank you so much. Um, they were trying to get out but had to show IDs. I think yeah, I think at some point the sort of the people in control of the situation were simply sort of like asking for ID. We're just trying to figure out what's happening, who's there to follow up upon. But yeah, I've already seen some people, especially since arrests happen, and we'll have to see where those arrests will actually go. I think the university itself has commented that they will sort of have some disciplinary actions. So we'll have to follow up, and I'm sure we'll be following it in the next few days. possibly weeks, depending on how it goes, to see where this goes. But yeah, I've already seen some people talk about free speech. This is them being denied free speech. This is them being sort of, First Amendment rights are being harmed, which again, as it has been from the start with the campus intifada, it never was about free speech. They were not arrested because of free speech. They were not arrested, or sort of the problem with it was never that they are anti-Israel, that they have, that they are arguing against the government actions. The problem from day one was the fact that they are breaking the law. They are either breaking the sort of the rules of the university, which university has commented on, or they are breaking actual property rights. Right? They are uh, like just going in, barging in, having no approval, having no like allowed access, breaking stuff, of course, that also happened, vandalizing. That there are pictures from this one about them basically just spray tanning library, which again, it's you know when it comes to sort of vandalism, the burning books or trying to go into library and destroy library is like the number one barbaric acts that happens. That's like when that starts happening, you already know, okay, like these guys are kind of barbaric. These guys like have no respect for knowledge, right? For any sort of preservation of information, to just go in, act like it's nothing, it's just a bunch of words, who cares, and destroy all of it. Not to mention, it's like their library, right? If they are students, it's like their own thing. So you know kind of crazy. Although we'll also talk about if this was just students, because there are some people wondering about that. Um, yeah, so the first point, this is not about free speech, and it's never been. It's about rules and property rights, and that should be enforced. So the fact that NYPD was involved was definitely good. Now I think I have one more video that I wanted to play. Yeah, so this one is shorter, and see what happened. So yeah, a lot of them were arrested, as it should be. Now let's go into some of the comments. So we have a comment from New York Mayor Eric Adams, who said in a television interview that these protests were unacceptable. During the interview, has also said that the police department was sort of en route to go there, and he also asked parents of those participating to call their children and tell them to leave. We have a comment from Colombia's acting president, Claire Shipman, who said two Colombia safety officers. So that's who I was wondering about. So safety officers were injured as protesters forced their way into the library. And she was the one who called NYPD to help with securing the building, because basically they didn't have control of the situation. Now, quoting her again, disruptions to our academic activities will not be tolerated and are violations of our rules and policies. While this is an isolated to one room in the library, it is completely unacceptable that some individuals are choosing to disrupt academic activities as our students are studying and preparing for final exams. These disruptions of our campus and academic activities will not be tolerated. Individuals found to be in a violation of university rules and policies will face disciplinary consequences. So first, she sort of commented on that this was an isolated. She was talking about that it was just isolated to one library, which I don't think they should sort of like try to minimize the situation. Uh, Again, when we are talking about violence, when we are talking about riots, when we are talking about like people sort of breaking the rules, that is not something that's like, what can you do? These students are supposed to be the most prestigious people of like the world realistically, right? It's not just America. It's not just that Harvard and Columbia are sort of like the biggest or the most prestigious American universities. Like they are across the world. That's why people from around the world. I mean, I think trying to remember the number because now I cannot remember if it was quarter or half of the students at Columbia are from abroad, right? So it's like really an international university. You have people from all around the world, the best from the best, and they do this, and this is like accepted. This is like, well, what can you do? These guys should know better than any other, and it cannot be allowed. It cannot be sort of accepted as this is like an acceptable thing, or well, kids be kids. They're just 19, 20, 21, whatever. So we can let it go. No, this is the fact that this is happening is troubling and should trouble people. So these people should definitely be punished for what they are doing, if by law or by the university. Uh, I don't think it matters much, although we'll go into the law part a bit later. I think universities have a much bigger problem than sort of just following the law, or that the sort of the fact that law is not fully enforced, I don't think is as big of a problem as what has been happening with Colombia, right? The fact that the leadership of Colombia has been negotiating with the students, has been like looking at these kids as like these people, what they are doing by occupying university, by destroying property of the university. That is like we can we can negotiate with them to get something valuable. These are thugs. These are like there's nothing else that you can call them, criminals who want to get their way by using force. This is not something we should want from our most prestigious university students. Um, yeah, then of course, I'm trying to look at the chat if anybody has. However, they cover their faces because they know this is wrong deep down. Guess they'll be happy to wear the burqa once their side wins. I mean, yeah, all of them hide their faces. All of them wear their kifiyas after their hero Arafat. It is truly pathetic. It is truly something that university should try to take care of, shouldn't allow this, and again, should punish. Like, this is not an acceptable behavior for, uh, like, again, and it cannot be stressed, like, harshly enough. The fact that these are sort of like the future, like these guys are the future Supreme Court justices, right? These people are the future presidents, are the future top intelligentsia, top sort of representatives in all fields. And I mean, hopefully these guys are not. The other students at Columbia are. But yeah, this is not something that somebody says future imams. Yeah, let's hope not. But yeah, probably at this rate, definitely. So we also had a comment from Marco Rubio, the state secretary, who said, "We are reviewing the visa status of the trespassers and vandals who took over Columbia University's library. Pro-Hamas tags are no longer welcome in our great nation." uh, which again was something that sort of interested me in the fact that these students are doing it. Now, we don't know specifically who the students are. We'll maybe find out later. We don't know if among them were international students. If we don't know if they were our students, I'll go to that in the second. Were students of the university, but yeah, this idea. I'm trying to remember where I first heard about it. It was probably in some sort of like a gangster movie or something where, you have like the people who are in the mafia, the people who break the law, are making very damn sure that their taxes are in order, that they don't break the speed limit. Because if you are a criminal, if you are breaking the law, you really want to make sure that you don't get caught on some like BS charge, on some like not as important thing as that big thing. And I'm trying to think, if you are someone, so as Mark Rubio said about sort of like looking into visa status, if you are someone who is in America on a visa, if you are someone um, who is coming to America to study, who is coming to America hopefully for a better life. The fact that you would join these protests, the fact that you would want to risk, hopefully, this like really great value of like being in America, of being, of, you could say having like the privilege to be in the, I'd say, greatest nation in the world, and that you would want to risk it for not even to speak out, which is like the other side, right? Which is what I said. This is not a free speech issue. So if you want to speak out, if you want to be pro-Palestinian, if you want to be pro-Hamas, it is really stupid, but it is. You're right. But if you come to America and you break law, you are just trying to do whatever, and you have no respect or um, no even conception of the consequences, is truly baffling to me. And we are actually joined by Adam Mosov, who should be coming on camera soon. And it's great to see you, Adam. Uh, so yeah, I've covered most of the topic. So I'll just go to you for some thoughts. I've been talking about that Marco Rubio commented about taking a look at visa status of many of the students, and I was talking about how it is truly baffling to me that if you are sort of a student coming on visa, coming to hoping for a better life, coming to study at university, one of the most prestigious universities, at least believed to be, right? And that you would not specifically, because this is not a free speech issue, not that you would sort of advocate for pro-Palestinian or whatever, but that you would like join these protests that are breaking the laws, that are breaking the rules of the university, and you would expect that no consequences happen. So yeah, if you want to comment on that, or generally, what do you make of this? Yeah.
I apologize for joining late. The I don't know what you've covered so far. I assume you just covered the details of what they've been doing, but again, this relates to a theme that we constantly keep talking about, on the episodes that I've joined, which is that, not only are these people committing crimes and they're blatant crimes. I mean, harassment, assault, trespass, mayhem, conspiracy. Because this is all planned. But they are members of organizations that are dedicated to the violent overthrow of the United States. I mean, and the advocates and leaders of organizations like the Students for Justice in Palestine talk about, oh yes, we have to overthrow the U.S. government, and it's as bad as Israel. And so they've committed perjury, they've committed fraud in coming to the United States when they were asked, are you going to foment rebellion when you're here? Because while we should allow anyone to come into our country, you do not allow people to come into your country whose purpose to be here is to foment rebellion, is to engage in crimes and to try to engage in the violent overthrow of our government, and advocate for the violent overthrow of our allies' government. So, and or are funded by enemies of our government. So, my hope is, that they've been arrested and now their masks have been removed because they have all had they've had their mug shots taken. You can't wear your keffiyeh or other type of mask when you have a mug shot taken. And that to the extent that some of these people are here on student visas, they should be they definitely, they should begin the due process for deportation. And moreover, the students who are U.S. citizens, I mean, they should be convicted. I mean, I have to say, my response to watching the arrest, there was a video of the students being arrested and being let out of, the library in handcuffs, was frankly, just being unimpressed by that, because we've seen that before. in 2024, the police went in and arrested all of the occupiers and, people who engaged in a very violent occupation of one of the university buildings. And they were all arrested, and not a single one of them was prosecuted. Um, and the university, very quietly, after much fanfare of, oh, we're expelling and suspending people and revoking their diplomas, very quietly, 6 to 8 months later, rescinded all of the punishments. So I refer to the arrests of those protesters on X as rule of law theater. That, from, given past practices by both the university and the New York Police Department and District Attorney Alvin Bragg, who's shown himself to be a total abhorrent political actor who uses his office for political purposes, both in this context and in many others, instead of enforcing the rule of law. That was just for theater from their perspective, to try to mollify the critics. And then once everything dies down a month or two later, he lets them all go. And, Alvin Bragg won't prosecute him. And the university is hoping, just as Senator Schumer told them back in 2024, just keep your heads down and ride it out. Because as Schumer, said to the then university president, who was then later forced to resign, oh, this is just a problem among Republicans. Which, by the way, is true, because all the Democrats are either pro-Hamas or are kowtowing to their pro-Hamas base, who are these woke student thugs and street thugs. And the few shining exemplars of Democrats with a moral compass, like Senator Fetterman and others, and a few others, they're outcasts in their party precisely because of this. A massive hit piece was just published on Senator Fetterman in the New York Magazine, which basically adds up to he supports Israel. So therefore, there's something wrong with him. They're actually accusing him of being mentally incapacitated, which, by the way, after lying for 4 years about an actually mentally incapacitated president, I mean, it's shocking to hear Democrats and Democrat staffers now like taking the high ground, saying, "Oh, a senator who's mentally incapacitated should resign." It's like, really? They are no place to be saying that.
Yeah, and I mean, I'll just mention it because you mentioned John Fetterman, and we talked about him in the past. Like, I
Hmm.
tried looking into him. If you look at him, he's like a progressive, but like a progressive. Like all of his policies that he has are like probably like worse than I would say for like an average Democrat. One thing he has different is that, as you said, he is pro-Israel, or not even pro-Israel, as pro-Israel in sort of like the Democrat sense, which is not. It could be better, but well, that's besides the point. But yeah,
Well,
sort
I
of
mean,
like
yeah, I
yeah,
mean, look, there's no perfect politician, right? Especially in today's cultural context in the United States. So I mean, Fetterman has been really explicit. Like, we need to, Trump should not be negotiating with Iran. He has been repeatedly saying, he has said we need to destroy Iran. I mean, how many Democrats are saying that? How many? He's actually saying we should be taking out Iran's nuclear facilities and assisting the Iranians in overthrowing the government there, because it really is the source of all of the problems. He's been equally supportive of Israel because he recognizes the evil threat that Hamas and Hezbollah and all of these terrorist proxy armies of Iran represent, not just to Israel, but to the West and to the United States.
yeah. The point I was trying to make is that when you compare him to Democrats, they like agree on everything when it comes to his progressive policy. It's just he has this one difference, and that is enough, as you said, to be a complete cast out. Right? He is
Oh,
bought
yeah, I'm
in
sorry,
by the
I
he is
misunderstood you. Yeah.
he is bought in by the lobby. He, as you said,
Yeah.
is mentally impaired. That is the kind of policy the progressives in the Democratic Party are going for. Right?
I
This.
mean, they've
Yeah.
actually protested at his home, and by protesting, I mean, like, they've these pro-Hamas activists and agitators have gone to his home at 3 a.m. and have banged drums outside of his home. I mean, that's a crime. That is a crime. And if you did that in any other context, in any other person, you would be arrested. And not a single one of those people were arrested.
Yeah, and so when I saw the responses from the New York mayor and the Columbia, and the response to the sort of the break-in itself, it seemed like, okay, this looks kind of a bit faster and maybe a bit better than it used to in the past. But as you said, the Colombia acting president, Clara Shipman, she talked about the disciplinary consequences. She talked about how this is inappropriate, how they are disrupting the studying of students. The New York mayor said, Eric Adams said this is like unacceptable. But yeah, my question is, or sort of my expectation is, there were around 80 arrests made. Uh, uh, of course, and all of them, even if something doesn't happen in the course of law, which I think it definitely should, the university itself should really think about like what is going on that these students keep breaking into stuff, and what, nothing happens, there are no consequences. How can you expect to sort of preserve this idea of being a prestigious university where all it's about is students are doing whatever they want, they take over buildings, and then they are able to negotiate with the leadership about the divestment because they were able to disrupt the university? I mean, yeah, question for you, Adam, like, how long do you think this can go on if the students are not being punished? Like, what are they being taught?
Yeah, well, I mean, it's not so. Yeah, first of all, these are all just words from the president. Oh, don't do this, don't do this. Same with the New York mayor, don't do this. They've taken zero action. So, this is purely them trying to placate, you know, people. What they know is a bad look for them. But the reason why they're not taking action and they're just issuing these words about not doing this is because they agree with the protesters. Well, I mean, the students aren't doing whatever they want. The students are doing exactly what they have been taught. They've been taught by their professors. They've been taught, for years, decades. The nihilism of intersectionality theory. That everything is oppression. That what when you're oppressed, you can do anything you want, that against your oppressor. That and that you define, and everything is through the lens of oppressor and oppressed frameworks. So this is classic neo-Marxist. It's a melange of neo-Marxism and nihilism. Um, Basically, allowing and rationalizing, violence, in the name of like the most brutish tribalism. And so this is why they're not just opposed to Israel, they're opposed to the United States and the United States government and every Western ideal. These are not, so the students are acting on ideas. The students are acting on ideas. When the question then is, where do they get these ideas? They don't just appear in their heads magically. They got them from their professors. And by the way, the professors are the people who are in charge of universities at the end of the day. They are the ones actually who get, who at the end of the day decide, who's going to be a president or not. If the faculty rise up a university and say, we don't want you to be president anymore, that person is not going to be president. I mean, it's not that it's in the same way that if a group of people in a country rise up against an authoritarian leader, the authoritarian leader will eventually, step down or be overthrown because if you don't have, in a certain sense, this at the implicit tacit sanction of the people that you're governing, you can't govern. And if you have the explicit opposition, you definitely can't govern. And so the presidents first are either A, they're placating to their base, just like the Democrats are placating to their woke, nihilistic, anti-Semitic, neo-Nazi base. And or worse, the presidents agree with this stuff because they themselves, most of these presidents are career academic bureaucrats, but almost all of them start as professors. That's how they start in academia. And so they were the ones who were once teaching these classes and teaching these ideas that, limited government and capitalism is evil, that it's a rationalization for the oppression of minorities, indigenous people, women, And then minorities is broken up into every single type of potential tribal group that you can imagine. Not, black is Black American, it's two, it's now African American and Caribbean American and Asian American and so I mean it's you get, just splintering of all of these warring factions. And that's the whole point about intersectionality. You have to find the intersections in which the different factions share a common concern, and that common concern is oppression, and typically the oppression by the powerful. So yeah, so this is exactly what you would expect. I apologize. It's 1 p.m. here, and I have another meeting that I have to get going to, so I have to sign off now.
Sure.
But Daniel, it was really great chatting with you. I'm sorry I came late, and looking forward to more chats on these topics in the coming weeks and months.
No worries. It was great for you to come in. So, yeah, if you need to go, you can.
Thank you. Bye bye.
We have a super chat from Jonathan. Thank you so much. He said, great to see Adam. Yeah, it was great for him to join, especially since we last asked him very last minute, since we decided on topic pretty late. So thank you again, Adam, for joining us. Just quickly, somebody in the chat says these ideas are far from being liberal. And yeah, it is really funny. So we have the reality show coming up in just about a minute or so. Link is going to be in the chat. We'll be talking about Ben Cohen, and he was invited on Tucker Carlson show of all places. And Tucker Carlson described Ben Cohen, or described Ben and Jerry's, his company, as one of the most liberal companies, which is a very misappropriate use of the word. These people are not liberals. Liberals are for, and that's why even Ayn Rand, whenever she used the word liberal to describe the left, she always used it in quotes, because they are not liberal. They are not for, because what is being liberal? It is for being for limited government. It is being for American style of government. It is being for republic. But no, they want to overthrow American capitalism. They want to overthrow America itself. They are against Western ideas. I mean, liberal is sort of like the West, is the culmination of the Western ideas in a political theory, right? The founding fathers were liberals. These people have nothing to do with the ideas of liberalism. They are anti-liberal. They are anti-capitalism. They are against Western ideas, and that's what they are being taught at universities, right? So that's what Adam mentioned about they are just acting on their ideas that they were taught, and that's why nobody can do anything about them because they agree. Whenever the what is the quote? I cannot remember now. Whenever there is an argument between people who share the same underlying premise, it is the more consistent one that wins. So because all of these people have the same ideas, the ones who do want to act on them are the ones that will always win. So just a reminder, we have the reality show in just about a minute or so. Make sure to join us for that. And I'll see you there in just about a minute. Thank you and bye bye.